Now, Ivory Coast and Ghana are canceling all cocoa sales to U.S.-based Hershey. The two countries are accusing one of the world's largest chocolate manufacturers of trying to avoid paying a cocoa premium aimed at combating farmer poverty. Nigerian cocoa exporters are facing long delays in shipping their goods after the Central Bank of Nigeria started insisting on additional documentation to ensure proceeds are returned to the country. With all of this, what is the future of cocoa in Africa? Joining me on the show is agribusiness expert Deji Rotimi. He is the managing director, Hills Harvest Limited, and group director, HH Group. Deji, welcome to Business Edge. Thank you so much for joining us.
Hey, thank you very much, Tolu,
All right.
for joining me this morning.
So let's get a bit of a background on this situation. The farm gate, which seemed to work quite well last year and has been something in the works for a number of years, it has now sort of seemingly maybe collapsed because of the actions of Hershey. But before we get to what's happening now, give us a bit of a background on the situation involving cocoa farmers in Ghana and the Ivory Coast.
Well, as you said, I think Ivory Coast and probably Ghana, account for over 2/3 of the cocoa trade, at least in Africa. And it's pretty much a little bit more sophisticated and developed than Nigeria, as probably a lot of other things, in the food value chain. Now, they've built their system to where either middlemen or organizations come and buy on behalf of Mars, Hershey, the global chocolate manufacturers that they've had deals, but also because it's a globally traded commodity, is also on the commodity exchanges across the world. So there's a level of sophistication there. But if you have any understanding of how things work, as far as there's a dichotomy from what is on the field, on the farms, and then what is traded on what you call the stock exchange and things like that. If you know anything about stocks and you have the derivatives and numbers manipulations and things like that. So it's totally different. There are people that making money off of the trades, and they have nothing to do with the cocoa pods on the farms. But that being what it is, I mean, that's how the commodities market works, all the same. Okay. So all Ivory Coast and Ghana were trying to do was, hey, look, let's get a piece of the pie. You always have these articles going on saying that, look, cocoa is probably the cocoa market or the chocolate market is so and so hundreds of billions, and the farmers are getting less than 10% of that. So the farmers are getting less than 10% of that. That they just want to get a little bit more from the big cake, so to speak. So they came together. Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so I want to move to what's happening now, because as you said, where you were going, they came together, they agreed, and it's been a conversation of 5 years, 10 years almost, because it has been noted that the cocoa production with Ivory Coast and Ghana particularly, and as it is with agricultural production around the world, child farmers are involved in the agricultural business, and that's been identified as well. But now, what do you think has changed, particularly with a company as big as Hershey, from last year when you're willing to sort of play ball with Ghana and Ivory Coast and have this farm gate, to now where, again, it will be alleged because Hershey has not denied or said they are responsible, but you're now trying to circumvent the same farm gates. What do you think has changed?
So first of all, I would like to say, well, Hershey, Mars, anybody, they're a business, right?
Yeah.
And first of all, for them to come to the table to want to have a contract directly with them, that I think it's kudos to them. And after so many decades of just not putting more value to them. Now, and I'm sure they probably didn't say it, but everybody in the world, business transactions, contracts, where I have to be renegotiated, plain and simple, because of COVID. I mean, it's just what it is. I mean, I'm in the States here, they just has hit as anybody else, but the show must go on, and they have to renegotiate things. Now, I'm sure Cote d'Ivoire and Ghana are like, well, yeah, we don't want to renegotiate this contract or even whatever it is, because at the end of the day, we weren't getting that much before. So don't use the excuse of COVID to or whatever business situation to change the terms. And as any business entity, they have a lot of weapons at their disposal.
Yeah.
That okay, even if I break this contract, either way, I'm going to manipulate it at the stock exchange, and I'll still get what I need to do. I'm still going to get the prices and have other people, third parties, to buy from you, because the thing is, they control the market. And if you know anything about business, if you control the market, the prices and things like that, then you can make stuff happen. So I think at the end of the day, I would hope that they can come to the table and have a conversation, because sometimes you have to look at where your strengths are, where your power is, and make it happen, because the government might have a tough stance. But the question is, can the farmers hold out long enough?
Okay. Let's talk about
price. Go ahead.
Okay. Let's talk about pricing and standards. Now, pricing has been competitive and standards have been maintained. This action by Hershey, again, it has to be an alleged action at this point in time.
I get you.
Could it be an attempt to sort of break the unity among the sellers? Because you talked about coming to the table and being very conscious of your strengths, but Ivory Coast and Ghana, accounting for 70 to 75% of the world's cocoa production, they're only as strong in this situation as much as they maintain unity. So do you think this could be an attempt to sort of break that unity among sellers?
Well, I don't think so. Let's look at who are the entities we're talking about. So you probably have the community groups and the government. Now, individual farmers themselves. So the unity with the government and the head of their community, farmer groups, they could still stand firm. But just like Nigeria and different parts, you can have people still sell in smaller quantities to maybe other regions and still get things out. So Hershey is just going to wait and say, look, whoever can bring me stuff, wherever, how it originated is none of my business. And then they get it to them one way or the other. So, because I don't think they can fully control everything. And when you have the socioeconomic situation that it's not, if you want to hold out, is the government of Ghana or Cote d'Ivoire giving them subsidies to hold out, probably not. So, and the thing is, Hershey, Mars, wherever it is, they have a big buying power. And, they can muscle anybody from the market end and makes, as we're saying that they have, Ghana and Cote d'Ivoire have, over 60% of the market of production. What power does Hershey and the big guys have? They probably have a buying power significantly high too, that they can make stuff happen. So they can be monopolistic actions and price fixing. I'm just saying this is not necessarily that's what anybody's doing, but just in business, they got the size. And the thing is, it's okay for all this to go on now, but business is, continuous transaction over a long period of time. Okay. So at the end of the day, both parties have to come together and say, look, Africa, any of the African countries, Ghana produces some chocolate and stuff, but distribution is not that much. It's not going anywhere, because I have tasted their chocolate and it's fantastic. But it's not, you're not selling anywhere close to Hershey or Mars bars and things like that. So at the end of the day, both parties will have to come together, swallow your pride until you can leverage and get enough, avenues, supply chain systems, distribution to market, otherwise you're still at the mercy of the buyers. Yeah.
Okay, so you've sort of answered this question, but I still want to put it to you directly. Do you think a boycott of a specific buyer can be done and maintained by the farmers in Ivory Coast and Ghana, by those who are representing the Ivory Coast and Ghana on the international market? Do you think a boycott of Hershey's, Mars, whoever it may be, can be done and maintained? And you've answered it just a bit, but I want a more direct answer in terms of a boycott.
Well, it can send a political statement for a while, but I mean, size matters, man. Like, uh, you need more money than they can. You know, as you said, maybe the 30, 40%, they can still get somewhere else in the world. And, you know, I think probably either Indonesia or Singapore, or, you know, they might still get some chocolate there. The quality might not be as good as the Ivory Coast or Ghana. But the question is, who can hold out the longest? And the thing is, are there routes to where cocoa can find its way out of Africa, the countries? You know, because if you have a farmer sitting on his back and he's like, government, what's up? You know, hey, I need some money. I need to pay for school. I need to eat. I need to do things. Are you going to subsidize us? If the government says, yes, we're going to hold out, I'm going to subsidize you, then you're already eating into the profit that you already probably signed before that you've not gotten. So it's just business.
Okay.
So I think, and to be honest, once the product is on the national market, international market, is a whole different ballgame. I mean, as you said, the stock, the exchange, commodity exchange, handling all this. Who do you think controls all that? Where is it located?
Yeah.
How do they? Is traded in dollars? If you don't have the leverage, and that's the thing, Africa needs to figure out how to build his ecosystem, from beginning production to the market, and in fact, even make his own chocolates. It's simple. Have the appetite to make chocolates, and even when you start to sell locally, and you start to make value, significant value from your products and get value, and this kind of conversations wouldn't be there. But just exporting raw materials, and what is happening is you are asking for charity. Like, well, do good. Do good never solves anything in capitalism.
Deji, you made a really, really powerful statement there, and I'm going to take you up on that when we come back from the break, saying that countries are asking for charity, but what the countries say they're asking for is just $400 extra per ton of cocoa produced in their countries. This is Business Edge. We'll take this conversation on when we come back. You're still watching Business Edge right here on News Central. My guest is still with me. He's an agribusiness expert as well as the managing director of Hills Harvest Limited. Now, Deji, right before we went for the break, you made a really heavy statement, and you said that it seems the countries are asking for charity, but the countries are saying they want $400 only. Bere, as we would say in Nigeria, only $400 extra on top of every ton of cocoa produced, and that this will help them have a living, an LID, living income differential for their farmers. But we can also agree that there is a problem with farming in Ivory Coast and Ghana, in agricultural space as it may be. And I want to get some information. Now, this battle that seems to have now come between Ivory Coast and Ghana and Hershey and whoever else may be down the line, it sheds a light on a decades-old problem that has been in the industry. A widely acclaimed documentary that aired in 2000 first revealed how prevalent the use of child labor had become. Now, decades later, there's still a report from 2018 about the cocoa industry in Ghana and the Ivory Coast, and this was published by the U.S. Labor Department. It found that nearly 45% of children living in agricultural households worked in cocoa fields, a total of at least 1.6 million children. So Ghana and the Ivory Coast are saying if you add that $400 on every ton of cocoa produced, you increase the living standards of the farmers and you reduce the likelihood that children will be employed in the agricultural business. But it seems you think they're asking for charity. Please explain.
Okay. All right. So are we saying it's only in the cocoa value chain that kids are being used, so to speak?
No.
Or every other product, or it's just farming in general, or it's just the culture that the societies in African communities have I've imbibed. I imbibed for probably centuries to come. You have a lot of kids. They go to the farm before formal education came. So the thing is why, I think the education in child labor is more of a structural thing within the country for the educational problem. So why are you now passing the buck to say, oh yeah, $400 is going to make our kids not well, did they even say go to school, that will not have child labor? Please, come on, let's face it. You don't blame somebody else for your own problems. And don't get me wrong, I'm not on the side of Hershey or anything. I just like to face the facts. Fix your own education system. Fix your own socio-economic system. Build your supply chain. Build your factories. Reduce corruption, and not necessarily to them, but I'm speaking back home.
Yeah.
Do all these things and leverage yourself. Like, if you're going to come to the table, it's capitalism. You have to have leverage. You have to have something that you can bring to the table. You develop everything. Everybody's educated. You're producing chocolate. You can sell finished chocolate, plain and simple. Why is Hershey and Mars doing what they're doing? Because they spent decades, hundreds of years, or almost a century or more building their own system. They weren't where they were before. But I mean, at some point, Africa had leverage in trade and certain things, but other people took our stuff, developed it, increased it, and then they've come back and say, look, hey, I'm a big boy now, and I make stuff happen, and this is take it or leave it. It's simple. So all these excuses and saying $400, where did you come up with that? So basically, you're looking at how much they're selling in the global market, and I'm like, yeah, I need a piece of that. Please justify that to me.
Okay.
I mean, yeah.
So I need to get to some other people in West Africa who are involved in the cocoa trade. So the top cocoa producing countries around the world, you have Ivory Coast, Ghana, Indonesia, Cameroon, and Nigeria. While this situation of farm gates and the $400 extra has been championed by the Ivory Coast and Ghana, what's the input from Cameroon and Nigeria, who are the 4th and 5th on the list of top cocoa producing countries? What are we saying as Nigeria? What is Cameroon saying as Cameroon? Are we waiting to benefit from farm gate? Are we outside of the farm gate conversation? Where are we?
Well, I would say Cameroon, I mean, agriculturally, it's pretty decent. I mean, they try to get their work and evaluation. They're quite committed to their industry when it comes to production. But I think, they're having some unrest down there. And things are a little topsy-turvy, so they can't really come to the world stage on a lot of things. I mean, we even bring food from Cameroon through the border, cross riverside, tomatoes and things like that from time to time. Now, Nigeria. To be honest with you, Nigeria should not even have a seat at the table, not even sit by the table or be in the room.
Wow.
In fact, not be in the building, in the city, if I should even say, when people are talking. Because,
why is Nigeria's case so bad?
I mean, look, we've all absconded from our roles as a government, as a people. But I would say as a government first, because one thing I've realized is this. I mean, from colonialism and everything seemed when the British were around, they seemed to have given a formula to how things should be done as far as when it comes to food. But along the way, as we all say, all came in and we abandoned it, and nobody actually paid attention to what was going on. So you have the UACs, you have the industries that were thriving back in the day, and it slowly went kaput. Now, one thing I noticed, right, with every developed civilization or developed country, is they actually treat food as the way you treat your military, right? So it's like food security.
Yeah.
And one thing I've realized too is I had to, do a check. There's almost no global food company in the world that is not subsidized by whatever company that they're in.
The country, yes.
Without any government support, most food companies would not be competitive.
Okay.
So case in point, right? I will tell you this. So 20 years ago, a burger from McDonald's was a dollar. Check. A burger is still a dollar. But you know the cost of power, everything has gone up, inflation and things. So it doesn't add up. If the cost of feed, beef and everything has gone up, but why is, the food still the same amount? Because somebody is paying for it back end.
Okay, Deji, I have to interrupt. I apologize because time is not with us. But Nigeria's situation and its place on this cocoa producing thing, I think that's a whole conversation on its own. But I want to get to the statement from Hershey's chairman and see where we move from there. Now, the Hershey spokesperson, Jeff Beckman, has called the letter misleading and said it jeopardizes the sustainability programs that Hershey is working on in the Ivory Coast to combat child labor and agricultural exploitation. Asked about the allegations that Hershey had bought beans on the futures exchange, Beckman would not confirm or deny where Hershey's recent cocoa purchases came from or whether they had come from the exchange. So my final question to you, I'll just need 2 or 3 sentences because of time. Where do we go from here? So Hershey is not saying yes and not saying no, that they did do what they're being accused of. Ghana and Ivory Coast are looking to boycott them and whoever else may have been involved in this massive buy-up of cocoa beans on the futures market. But beyond that, we've spoken now about having leverage. We've spoken also about coming back to the negotiation table. But as of right now, with Hershey saying no, not saying yes, in just a few sentences, where does Ivory Coast, Ghana, cocoa, the future, where does it go from here?
Basically, I will say they both need a third-party negotiator that understands both sides and should help them negotiate, because speaking to each other is not going anywhere. So yeah, you need somebody to help mediate that understands Hershey's side, that understands the farmers on the ground, and we'll be able to get a deal done consistently over time. Yes.
All right, Deji, thank you so much. Deji Rotimi, the Managing Director, Hills Harvest Limited, and Group Director, HH Group. Thank you for joining me on Business Edge. I'm sure we'll have you back sometime in the future.
Thank you, Tolu.